Hi and welcome to the Fishhead Creations podcast, where I pull out one of my interesting knitting projects every time and talk you through the details. My name is Anna. You can find me on Ravelry as Obsty and on Instagram as Caledoniana, and as always I'd love to hear from you. Today's project is another sweater, jumper, whatever, yoke. It's one from Kate Davis's wonderful book Yokes. I pretty much want to knit every single design in this book, and I have so far at least two. No, yeah. I have so far knit her Epistrophe, which is my only cardigan so far, and it doesn't actually fit me anyway. So I don't. Well, I do wear it quite a lot, but it doesn't really fit me, so I only wear it at home when I'm on my sofa and just want to throw something over. But the other thing I knit from this is Buchanan. I'm going with Buchanan this time. I have no idea how it's pronounced, but it's this wonderful, almost tunic length, sleeveless yoke design with corrugated rib at the bottom and at the sleeves and at the neck. And yeah, just a very graphic geometric design, which I quite like. What I do not like about this thing is two things. One, the colors, but colors are easily changed. As you will have noticed by now, my main color is black. And the other thing I didn't like is the fact that it doesn't have any sleeves. Because when I put on a woolen garment, I want my sleeves to be covered. Oh, I want my arms to be covered. I want long sleeves. When I'm wearing wool, I want to feel warm, and I don't want to have to wear something underneath just to have my arms warm, and then they will still be not as warm as the rest of my body. So what I decided was to add sleeves, and I did this based on the project page of another lady who is pictured in this book, so I'm looking for a picture of her. This lady. Her name is Mel. I have no idea what her full name is. I have no idea. But her name is Mel, and she actually works for Kate Davies. She's a sample knitter, pattern tester, does help with the shipping of the yarn and whatnot. I met her briefly at Edinburgh Yarn Fest 2017 when she was managing the register and doing all the sales. So this wonderful lady has also knit a gorgeous version of the Buchanan. Hers is mainly grey with dark and light purple details around the yoke. And she has written on her project page that she also wanted long sleeves in the garment. So she did a provisional cast on just here, just above where the corrugated ribbing was supposed to be. And then knit the body bottom up, knit the sleeves from the provisional cast on just a few rows, then joined for the yoke, knit the yoke bottom up as it's written in the pattern, but then went back, picked up her provisional cast on and knit the sleeves top down. Excuse me. So this is exactly what I did. And here's my finished object. It's been worn quite a lot and it's completely covered in cat hair, but I've given up. Really, I've given up. Cat hair is everywhere. It's everywhere in my life, it's everywhere in my mouth, it's everywhere in my clothes. So I'm wearing cat hair. But here it is in its full glory. We have full length sleeves, which actually are a bit short, but it's fine. That's what you get for not taking into account how much the yarn will shrink when you wash it. But yeah. So let's start from the beginning. This whole sweater is knit in Holst Super Soft again mainly. So the black, the main color is Holst Super Soft, and also the white and the light heathered green. I think it's called Pussy Willow, and bleached white and just black. And the red is JC Rennie in Red Hot or something? Red Hot or Mulled Wine. But yeah, it's just a rich wine red, slightly heathered. It has some hints of purple and orange in it. Yeah, it's a wonderful pretty red, and there isn't too much a difference between those yarns, so it's quite easy to combine them. The pattern calls for a gauge of 22 stitches per 10 centimeters, which I don't know if you can see my hand through it, or if you can maybe see the wall behind me. It's quite a loose gauge for such a light yarn, which I quite like. This is my autumn and spring go-to jumper. You can scrunch it up easily. It fits into any handbag, but it's still warm because it's a nice non-super wash woolen spun yarn, and quite cozy and soft now after washing a few times. But yeah, construction. You start at the bottom hem with a corrugated rib, which is tedious to knit. I cannot stand it, but it really does look quite good. So I persevered. It's only 6 rows of endless corrugated ribbing, slow knitting, whatever. But then quite a long body with a bit of waist shaping at the sides. One of my recurring problems in knitting patterns that are written by rows instead of by centimeters is my extremely short row gauge. So in this garment I added another row in between every decrease and increase, because it tells you to decrease for the waist every, I have no idea, I'm making up numbers, but every 5 rows, and to increase every 8 rows, and then decreased every 6 and increased every 9, or whatever the ratio was. But I added another row in between just to make up for my short row gauge. Oh god, I should have depilled this. But yeah, I didn't measure it until I was done, so I knit for a few more centimeters than called for in the pattern, which was good because that way it accounted for the shrinkage of the yarn in the body, and it's quite a perfect length like this. This is the first garment I've knit to this length accidentally, but since then every other garment I made from Hot Super Soft I've knit to this body length, because I've realized after the shrinking with washing it will be just the perfect length. Then yeah, I just knit the body with a waist shaping to the underarm. Then I cast on the number of stitches the sleeves are supposed to have up here, and just knit for about 5 rows. So yeah, with a provisional crochet cast on. Did this for the second sleeve, joined them on one needle, knit the yoke just from the chart. Then, oh yes, and I did add a few more short rows on the back, because many of Kate Davies' patterns seem to have a very low neckline in the back and in the actual neck, not only in the front, and I really want my neck to come up high and keep me warm. So I added a few short rows, I think 3 sets of short rows or so. Yeah, 3 sets. No, 4 sets. Yeah, 4 sets of short rows on the back, so where it comes up to almost directly to the corrugated ribbing in the front. There's quite a bit more distance in the back, so the neck sits considerably higher on me. You can see this is what it sits like. It's considerably higher and keeps me warmer in the back, which I quite like. It's still quite an open neckline for my taste, but it works for such a light spring and autumn jumper. It's quite fine. So yeah, when the yoke was finished, I went back and pulled out my provisional cast on, the one on the waist yarn, and also I think 2 or 3 rows of the knitting I had done, because the provisional cast on was in a heavier yarn and it pulls on the stitches, and I didn't want any significant differences in gauge at the top of the sleeve. And then just improvised my way down. Up to here I decreased quite slowly in long intervals, and then increased my decrease rate, so you can see it slopes quite slowly here, a bit, and then a bit again, and then it's decreasing down more evenly up here, which is just to make up for my quite big upper arms but then narrow wrists. And then yeah, I did the same corrugated ribbing with the other edge I said. I just left in my stitch markers. I marked every decrease and left in my stitch markers, so I would know where to decrease for the second sleeve. And here I just use the progress keeper, and whenever I moved my progress keeper up to the next decrease, I took out the stitch marker here just to mark where I was. It worked quite well. I do it all the time on my sleeves because most of the time I'm changing something about them or just making them longer or more narrow at the wrists. The thing with the sleeves is I didn't really know how much the yarn would shrink because I hadn't really washed any garment and measured it before and after, because I improvise. I always do. And so when I was knitting these, the sleeves got down to here where I wanted them, but they shrunk quite a lot, so now they only come up to about here, which is where the ribbing starts on this jumper. And there's a reason for that, because this jumper directly influenced this one, which I'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, that's pretty much everything about this. As I said, it's lovely and soft now that it's washed and the spinning oil of the holst is out, and I wear it quite a lot. It already has felted a bit under the arms, but that's just what wool does. And I'm really happy with it, and it's my favorite Kate Davies garment I have because the other one doesn't really fit. Yeah, so this jumper I'm wearing is the Winterfjell again by Scandia Knits. This is my first version. Last episode I was wearing the second version, which I knit to gauge. This one I knit to the gauge of the Buchanan because one of the smaller sizes of the Winterfjell pretty much had the exact same stitch count of the Buchanan, which I just knit before, and I really like the fit and the fabric I got in the Buchanan. So I knit this one to the same gauge and same measurements, and it does fit quite well. It doesn't do too much of this pyramid shapey slidey uppy thingy, which I mentioned last episode. The Winterfjell has opposed to the Buchanan, which has a very round yoke. The Winterfjell goes straight up from here to here. It doesn't have this curve in the shoulder, which causes it to ride up to ride up on the shoulders quite a lot. And because I knit this at a different gauge, it seems to have a slightly different shape and it stays on my shoulders better than the other version, but it's too short. I already lengthened the sleeves considerably because in the beginning they stopped here, which is just, it doesn't work for me. And the body as well is just way too short because when I was knitting it I was measuring it to the Buchanan, but not by centimeters, but just by laying it on top of each other. And I only discovered afterwards how much the yarn would shrink. So yeah, I've lengthened the sleeves and I'm quite happy with them now. And the body works when I tuck it into my jeans. So it's very cropped and it's wider than it should be, but tucked into jeans it just works and I'm too lazy to pull out the bottom. It's a top-down construction, so it wouldn't be too hard to just unravel the ribbing at the bottom and continue to knit down, but it works. And I have a lot of sweaters, jumpers, garments that I can wear without tucking them into my jeans, so it's actually quite nice to have the option. So that's an important lesson from the Buchanan. Do not measure your washed garment. Measure it before and after the first wash, because your yarn will change. I don't do gauge, we all know that, and my short row gauge obviously becomes even shorter when I'm washing garments and they shrink lengthwise. So I just knit them 5 centimeters longer than I want them to be, and usually it works out just fine. I think that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed all my detail talk and not gauge talk, because I don't do gauge, we all know it. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back next week, hopefully, with another episode of Fishhead Creations and Knitting Details. Thank you for watching. Please contact me on Ravelry if there are any questions, or leave a comment just down below. I'd love to hear from you. Bye!